This is the Head Rush Podcast with Paul Frase and Corey Berry.
Welcome to the Head Rush Podcast. I'm Paul Frase, and I played 11 years in the NFL. And our co-host, Corey Berry, rode professional rodeo for 9 years. And at the Head Rush Podcast, we talk about everything related to brain trauma and brain health and wellness. We focus on traumatic brain injury sustained through repeated head impacts and repeated blast exposure for our men and women who serve in the armed forces. We talk about traumatic encephalopathy syndrome and chronic traumatic encephalopathy, CTE. And I haven't
We cover how traumatic brain injuries can and will cause mental health issues such as depression, addiction, lack of executive function, memory loss, even suicide ideation, as well as a degenerative neurological issue. What's our mantra, Paul?
It's how to cope and find hope. I think I've remembered that over the last year and a half. We focus our energy on finding therapies and sharing hope through education and by raising awareness. Please like, subscribe, share, do all those things to help that algorithm to help us get the message out. Corey, would you like to introduce our guest tonight?
Well, he's been on this show before, and they're actually sponsoring. And maybe later on in this podcast, we'll talk about their sponsorship and what they're going to offer. But I don't know if we're at that point yet. With the Head Rush Foundation, that will be up to Mr. Paul Frase. But I want to introduce a friend from Ambio Life Sciences. Trevor Millar is a social entrepreneur with over a decade of experience providing Ibogaine therapy. He is responsible for various aspects of Ambio's operations and communications. He previously served as a board member and co-founder of the Canadian Psychedelic Association. I can't believe they actually got a psychedelic association. And 2018 to 2021 on the board of directors of Multidisciplinary Association of Psychedelic Studies. That I can believe. Welcome to Canada.
Well, they're progressive when it comes to plant-based medicine, obviously.
Right. Where he acted as chair of board for over 2 years. Trevor was featured in an award-winning documentary about using magic mushrooms and Ibogaine to treat addiction, anxiety, depression, called Dose, which released in 2019. He was also part of the new one that you can see on Netflix called In Waves and War, about the study of the Navy SEALs and Special Force guys that went to Stanford and then down to Ibogaine and back, and what it did for them. Trevor, welcome back to the Head Rush Podcast.
Nice to be back. Thanks for having me. Wish I was there in person again.
Good to have you. And for the audience and the listeners, go watch those movies and to really get a great introduction to Ambio Life Sciences and to the art of plant-based medicines. And Trevor, good to have you back. We know politics moves at a snail's pace most of the time. You know, the plant-based medicine world had a big win a few months back with the executive order. And the executive order basically really gave an acceleration to research for plant-based medicines. It's not only for Ibogaine. Is it for psilocybin as well and other?
Yeah, it was basically Ibogaine did have a little piece carved out in it, but it was for advancing multiple different plant-based medicines that are already in the clinical trial process, that were already actually given breakthrough therapy status by the FDA, but it's kind of giving them even an extra kick in the butt. And then Ibogaine in particular has $50 million now federally allocated to it for research. And it also affected the scheduling of those substances. So normally you would put a drug through, like these are all Schedule 1 or 2 or who knows, mostly Schedule 1 substances. You would take them through the drug development process, then they get FDA approval, then they have to wait for DEA approval. But this EO also says that as soon as they have gone through the clinical trial process successfully, you don't even have to wait for complete FDA approval. They're going to start the process to reschedule them as soon as a successful clinical trial has been completed. It sounds like.
When you say rescheduling them, does that put it in a different category that lessens the burden of proof, or not burden of proof, but what is
Yeah,
that?
Lowers it down
basically
from a felony.
Schedule 1 means that it's got, and Schedule 1 is the most illegal a drug can get in the States.
Okay.
And it means that it has no medical use and there's a high rate of abuse. And everybody that knows anything about these substances knows that there's tremendous medical use and there's a very low risk of abuse. So it's basically saying, which, if it stays Schedule 1, even if it goes through clinical trials, it's going to be impossible to get because it's still illegal. So as soon as it successfully goes through the clinical trials, they will move to quickly reschedule it to 2, 3, 4, who knows, but make it so that it is illegal and that barrier is dropped pretty quickly.
Any
Well,
movement? Go ahead.
and last time we talked, Trevor, there was like 28 states invested in it. I know Texas gave some money into the research. How many states are now vested into the research statewide?
I think it's still around the same. If it was 28 when we last spoke, maybe 1 or 2 have been added. But yeah, I think the state initiatives really had a lot to do with it being recognized federally. So did Brian Hubbard and Joe Rogan have a lot to do with that. But and Brian Hubbard's the guy who's been quarterbacking everything on the state level. But I think Texas has still ponied up the most money. There's 5 million here, 5 million there, but Texas seems to really be leading that still. And ultimately, I think this organization, a nonprofit called Americans for Ibogaine, of which Brian Hubbard is the CEO, I think the intent is still really to have them quarterback the whole initiative so that, yeah, that federal money gets used wisely, and so does all the state money get used wisely. So everybody's not stepping on each other's toes or duplicating the same studies. It would just be a matter of, maybe you study this, you study this. So try and get it across the finish line a little bit quicker through that quarterbacking.
Now, you mentioned, Bill, and you mentioned, oh my God, Joe Rogan. I heard Governor Rick Perry, our former governor here in Texas, had a big thing to do with bringing it to Texas. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, 100%. So, to take it all the way back, a whole bunch of states sued Big Pharma for their role in the opioid crisis. They won, and a whole bunch of money was allocated to a whole bunch of states to try and make better all the damage that they've caused. So in Kentucky, what's called the Opiate Abatement Fund, a man by the name of Brian Hubbard was put in charge of that opiate abatement fund. And he said, I would love to do this, but you need to be open to me looking at alternative solutions. So when he started looking for alternative solutions, Ibogaine came on his radar as a way to potentially help, because Ibogaine's very good at helping people overcome opioid use disorder. It gets you through that affliction virtually overnight without the painful withdrawals that can normally take weeks or months.
Wow.
And
if you or someone you love is living with Parkinson's, MS, or symptoms associated with CTE, This is worth knowing. Ambio Life Sciences offers a novel alternative medicine called Ibogaine and operates the only Ibogaine clinic in the world for people with neurodegenerative disorders.
Many are reporting meaningful improvements in their quality of life after Ibogaine treatment. Interested? You can learn more about Ibogaine and apply at ambio.life.
Brian had a favorable political atmosphere from which to do that until he didn't. And when he didn't, I think ironically, a Democrat governor came in and shut the project down and fired Brian. And Brian quickly he'd already met former Texas Governor Rick Perry. Rick Perry had become a fan of Ibogaine because what he had seen it do to help veterans, in particular Marcus Luttrell, the lone survivor, who he met in San Diego one fine afternoon. When he met him, he said, "Hey, if you're ever in Texas and want to pop by the governor's mansion, sure do, or please do." And I guess he says that to a lot of people. Most people don't take him up on that, but Marcus showed up with a bag in hand and basically didn't leave for a couple of years. And the governor and his wife did what they could to help nurse him back to health. And nothing really helped until Morgan Luttrell, his twin brother, stumbled upon Ibogaine, ended up taking it. It was helpful for him. He's a congressman now. And then Marcus eventually came down. And it was really seeing Marcus come back. And I recently spoke to the governor about this. And I said, what was it that changed? Because Marcus seemed to kind of have his stuff together. He wasn't so far gone. He was participating in society. He was... he had a hit, a bestseller. He was featured in a movie played by Mark Wahlberg. But I said, "Governor, like, what changed?" And the governor said, "Marcus was always sad. And after Ibogaine, he wasn't sad anymore. That sadness just completely lifted." So that sold the governor on it. And then the governor did some research on his own, came down here to Ambio, saw what a whole bunch of other veterans went through, saw their improvement. And then this was way before kind of anything was happening in Kentucky. The governor went through his own Ibogaine treatment, which he's been public about now, got brain scans before and after on his own brain. His pre-brain scan was a normal kind of 72-year-old brain. His post-brain scan, his neurologist said he had the brain of a 45-year-old. And then when all of this started happening in Kentucky, he got behind that. And when it got shut down in Kentucky, he said, "Hey, let's try and do something in Texas." So Brian, then, who is a very well-spoken Kentuckian, came in, and they basically made some miracles happen in conjunction with Veteran Solutions, Vet Solutions, Amber and Marcus Capone, Marcus being a former Navy SEAL that set up this nonprofit to get a lot of veterans through. Marcus Luttrell was involved in that initiative, so was his wife, Melanie. But there was just basically a full court press to get Ibogaine researched in Texas. And they were successful with that. A bill was signed allocating $50 million to Ibogaine's research. And then a nonprofit was formed, Americans for Ibogaine. Brian Hubbard's the CEO. Marcus Luttrell, Mel Luttrell, Rick Perry all sit on the board. And they then duplicated or kind of advised and did kind of a cookie cutter solution in a whole bunch of other states to raise the same kind of money, or raise money. Nobody's come to the same kind of money to get other states to look at this. And then Joe Rogan comes into the picture because Brian Hubbard and Rick Perry have appeared together on Joe Rogan twice. And in the last appearance, Joe Rogan basically said, on air that he would do what he could to
Hmm.
to get this in front of the president. And then afterwards, Brian pressed Joe on that. And the way Joe tells the story is he texted the president, said, "Have you heard about this Ibogaine stuff? You should take a look at it." And the president texted back and said, "Do you want FDA approval? Let's do it." And then a few short weeks later, as I'm told, there were a bunch of people in the Oval Office to sign this executive order. I've said for years that that what Ibogaine needs is a magic wand.
Mm.
And I also said alongside that, there seems to be a lot of magic wands laying around these days. And sure enough, the president waved his magic wand and got a whole bunch of attention on Ibogaine that wasn't there before. I say it's like I've been dating the ugly duckling for a long time. Ibogaine is obscure, even this in this obscure world of psychedelic therapy. And now Ibogaine is the pretty girl at the ball that everybody wants to dance with.
Well, Canada needs a magic wand up there right now with the fires. That's for sure. And
Yeah.
yeah, I'm sure you still have a
Well,
lot.
Oregon has major fires. California has major fires. I mean, we got fires going on everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that sounds like a screenplay for the next movie, of course. But is regarding the executive order, has there been any advancement or progress, or are they really just doing the nuts and bolts and trying to figure out how to an IRB, I guess they call it,
Yeah.
investigational INB, and the clinical trial, how that would look?
Yeah. So I know for sure that Morgan Luttrell is really doing his best and dedicating a lot of time and energy into making sure this happens and happens correctly. When an EO like that is signed, it seems like there's a bunch of franticness and trying to figure stuff out. And then who knows where it goes? I think it is being ushered in by well-meaning people. And then there's kind of the other
Yeah.
people,
Mm-hmm.
so we'll see how
Everybody
it goes.
trying
I'm
to
not
figure
holding
out
my
how to
breath.
get their piece of the pie.
Yeah. I'm really just doing all I can to solidify our operations here in Mexico. I think there's always going to be a need for this in Mexico. I think the pricing's always going to be a little bit better. Even if insurance in the States eventually covers this, I think insurance companies are going to like what we're doing here in Mexico a lot better.
Right.
And there is some kind of an agreement, as long as you're within 50 miles of the border, you can use US insurance, I think, something like that, 50 or 100. Pardon me, or 100 miles or something like that. So we were kind of jockeying to make sure we were at the table in the discussions. And that was kind of driving us crazy. So we just stepped back and we're like, it's probably going to fail a few different ways before it's going to be successful. And at the end of the day, hopefully somebody is going to be successful taking Ibogaine across the finish line and getting it approved as a prescription drug. Once it is approved as a prescription drug, you're going to need Ibogaine providers, and we're the best at that. So we're just going to keep being the best at that and keep honing our skills down here.
I think that's perfect. Stay in your lane and then get ready for what is to come. How many sites do you have or clinics do you have right now in Tijuana?
We have 7. We open our 7th in Tijuana in September, and we have 1 in Malta. Once all of them are open, our capacity is to treat 225 people per month, which is crazy. It's a lot of people taking Ibogaine.
Right.
Yeah.
Sustainability from the forest. Talk to me about that.
Yeah. So Iboga itself, which is the plant that Ibogaine comes from, which is native to countries like Gabon and Cameroon in West Africa. There are sustainability issues with it since it has become popular in the West. There's been a lot of poaching of it. And there's a great nonprofit called Blessings of the Forest, which really brought some attention to the Gabonese government saying, hey, you're going to want to preserve this. And therefore, there was a moratorium on exportation of Iboga for the last 5, 6, 7 years or so. And in the meantime, there has been a lot of attention placed on setting up plantations, setting up farms, as it were. So I am told that there is a very large supply of Iboga from the Iboga plant that is available to be properly harvested now. My business partner, Jonathan Dickinson, he was the first and so far only person to be granted an export license for Iboga. He gained that within the last couple of years, and it is done through the Nagoya Protocol, which is a UN treaty to help avoid biopiracy and poaching and make sure that there is profit and information sharing that goes back to the indigenous cultures that use this medicine. So that's that for Ibogaine from Iboga. And then there is another plant called Voacanga africana, which has a molecule, it's in the same family as Iboga, and it has a molecule that can, if you're a chemist, through a fairly easy chemical process, can be converted into pure Ibogaine. So most of us providers for the last decade or so have been using Ibogaine that comes from this plant, Voacanga africana, and there is no shortage of that plant at all. So there is a potential supply available of Ibogaine as it scales. I am told. Yeah.
Right on. So we all know, and we're going to get into talking about 2 weeks from today, I'll be partaking in the Iboga. I will actually be partaking on Tuesday, right?
Yeah, you arrive. Yeah, on a Tuesday. Yeah, you arrive in the Monday group and you take medicine on Tuesday night at about 8 p.m. The first pill will be going down your throat.
So 2 weeks from today, oh my God, I just got really nervous. So we know that medicine like this needs to be studied under controlled conditions. Talk about the precautions that Ambio takes to maintain safety of your clients. And I'm going to go through the intake process. And we know that Paul got declined due to his atrial fibrillation.
AFib.
And walk us through the safety process, because, I talked to Nicole a little bit, and I know that Nicole has said that Dr. Torres is pretty on it and is very right there, and will actually, he backs it 100% that if you're greenlit, you're greenlit. If you're not, you're not.
Yeah. So there is a cardiotoxicity potential with Ibogaine. So technically what Ibogaine can do is prolong the QT interval of the heart rate. And when you get an EKG done, there's a bunch of different waves. An EKG is basically a snapshot of one heartbeat. And there's a bunch of different waves within that. You know what the heart monitor looks like. And each of those waves have a different name. So the QT interval is the space in between the Q and the T. And the Q and the T, what they are in your heart, is basically the space in between your upper and lower chambers firing. And a lot of medications prolong the QT interval of the heart. It is very a well-known thing. A lot of people watching might be on QT prolonging medications. It's super common. Even like
This episode of the Head Rush podcast is brought to you by our personal doctor and team of doctors, Dr. Mizelle DeMayo, and she's with the Paradise Behavioral Health, and we are in the
Brainwell program, which is also part of the Millennium Health Center. Dr. Mark Gordon, you've seen him on Joe Rogan and even on our show, the Head Rush podcast. And hormones. And Mizell is awesome. We love her.
She's our doctor of psychiatry. She works the Mark Gordon program with the hormones, and she adds her twist of genetics, and it basically is melding two wonderful mediums together, and we're getting great help from Dr. Mizell DeMeo.
So please check out her website at paradisebehavioral.com. Look up the Brainwell program. Get involved.
She's sponsoring us. They're sponsoring us for the next year, so we are excited to have them on board and shout the good news to everybody that is watching these broadcasts. So,
is she helping you, Paul?
Absolutely.
She's helping me. So go check her out. ParadiseBehavioralHealth.com.
Certain medicines for indigestion might prolong the QT interval. I know methadone for opiate replacement therapy, it can prolong the QT interval. So what you don't want is an already prolonged QT on top of an already prolonged QT, or on top of medicine that is going to prolong the QT.
Mm-hmm.
So if there is, I won't say anything funky with your EKG, but certain things, if it is like the problem with Paul's AFib, and you brought it up, Corey, we're going to talk about Paul's medical history now. The problem with
Paul,
Paul's
hold on,
AFib
Paul. Is it okay? Paul, is it okay if we talk about your medical history?
Please, because I want to respond to some of the things that Trevor's saying about some drugs prolong the QT, and some drugs cause AFib, like Wellbutrin and so on and so forth. So that possibly why they Ambio wants you off a bunch of medications before you come down.
It could be related to the heart. Yeah, a bunch of medications affect the heart in weird ways. And it could be related to other factors like, and I don't know if Wellbutrin falls into this. I think it does. Like a lot of psych meds are serotonin reuptake inhibitors. And if that basically prevents you from absorbing serotonin back into your system as quickly as you normally would. And what that can cause when you're taking a psychedelic like Ibogaine is an excess of serotonin in the system, which causes something called serotonin syndrome, potentially. And, the serotonin syndrome, the mildest symptom is you might not be able to sleep, but serotonin syndrome can also kill you. So there's a lot of medications that are contraindicated with Ibogaine. You might need to come off psych meds for 5 to 10 days prior to coming in. Maybe you're on some kind of a blood pressure medicine. We might put you on a different blood pressure medicine while you're here. There's a bunch of things that could be factored in. And, your AFib, people can have AFib that's untreated and a little wobbly still, and people can have AFib that is treated. And so AFib is not necessarily automatically an exclusion. It kind of depends where you are with it. So I don't think you're completely excluded from taking Ibogaine. You just need to get your AFib addressed.
Right.
And then big picture with Ibogaine is we know enough about it now that it should not be dangerous. Like, especially if you're not detoxing off of substances. There was just a massive paper published, or a massive kind of meta-analysis of Ibogaine treatments. I think 19,000 Ibogaine treatments were examined retroactively in this paper that was just published. And there have been deaths with Ibogaine, and the only deaths this guy was able to track down were all deaths due to The person was detoxing off of drugs like opiates, and something went wrong there. So I think more often it's actually a drug interaction that is the big problem. But I think with all of the everything we know about Ibogaine within the last 10, 15 years, we know how to screen out people that might have adverse events. So sadly, that happened for Paul, and happily, Paul's not going to die taking Ibogaine. You know?
Well, I do want to explore it further and see if I can do another ablation. And I didn't realize after an ablation, it sometimes takes up to 3 months to heal, and you really have to concentrate on staying out of stressful situations. I got into perfect sinus rhythm for the first time in 20 years, and I felt great. And then I had let something get to me really, really stressful, and it kicked me back into AFib. So, and Dr. Torres was saying, you were talking about the cardio toxicity. He said that's what he's concerned about with my type of AFib, because I don't have ventricular AFib where my heart jumps into 200 beats a minute, but it's just all over the board. It's
Yeah.
90, 100, 90 to 100 beats, but it's just not regular. And he
Yeah.
said the danger of the cardiotoxicity in that respect is it could. First of all, they can't treat you when you are on a journey. It's very difficult. And some
Yeah.
of these journeys are 36 hours, right? And he said, or 24 hours or whatever. But he did say my type of AFib is possible to kick into the ventricular, going from the arterial or whatever. I'm butchering it, I'm sure, but he said you could get into the ventricular and we would not be able to treat it and bring you back down. So I think the moral of the story, my story, is go ahead and get the ablation, and stay calm and cool and collected for a few months, and come back to Tijuana.
Yeah.
So, so, um,
Yeah,
well,
you I you guys were applying, and I told my whole team these guys are VIPs, take good care of them. And then the doctor's like, "You're VIP, we can't treat him." And he's freaking out. I'm like, "Whatever, just tell him."
yeah, no,
We'll
he
figure it
was.
out.
Yeah, he kind of felt bad. He had to tell me no, but
Yeah.
I mean, believe me, I would rather him err on the side of caution, and I'll do what I need to do, and get I first of all I wanted so Corey's got the green light, and from Ambio, and he's actually taken off from Dallas, Texas, landing in San Diego in a couple weeks. Um, what what can he expect? What is the process? And I know.
Trevor's picking me up with a red carpet and a limousine. Personally, he's personally going to pick me up and take me down to Tijuana. No, Trevor, here, I'll let you talk about it.
Checking if that would even be possible. I don't think the red I don't think the red carpet's possible. Yeah, so Corey will stay in a hotel the night before we pick him up. And then we always do a pickup at the same hotel near the airport. And we have some very nice blacked out Chevy Suburbans to pick up our crews. He'll be in a group of up to 7 people. And the drive down to Tijuana is only about 30 minutes from the pickup point. And then upon arrival, you will be greeted by our staff, including our host. That's the position who is kind of the primary contact for you while you're here. And they've done the medicine and are really familiar with the process, and they'll have meals with you and take good care of you. They'll be kind of your on-site therapeutic support as well. But you'll be greeted by the host as well as the rest of the team. You'll meet everyone that's there, the kitchen team, housekeeping staff, medical staff. as has been indicated, it's fully medicalized. So there's at least a nurse or paramedic on duty 24 hours a day while you're here. Upon arrival, you will get shown your room, and then we will help you unpack. The nurse will help you unpack. Nothing personal, but we need to make sure that there's no contraband or contraindicated items. Some people bring big ass hunting knives with them. I'm
Oh
sure
no.
they can be trusted until they're high on the most powerful psychedelic on earth. Then you never know. So we need to take stuff like that away, or any medications that you might have. It's fair to take certain medications while you're here, as long as it's not contraindicated with Ibogaine, but we take everything away and we'll dispense anything that you need while you're here. And then you go into a circle to get to know your host and your fellow travelers for the week. We'll play a video at that point as well. You'll see my mug on the screen introducing you to the week, what you can expect, and then what you can expect of your Ibogaine journey and how to best prepare for that. I'll tell you, the metaphor I use is that taking Ibogaine is like getting on a roller coaster. There might be ups, there might be downs, there might be a loop, maybe a water feature or two with some purging into a bucket, maybe a tunnel of terror, maybe a tunnel of love. None of that matters. The only real rule of roller coasters is just don't try and get off in the middle of the ride. And that's the best advice I can give people for Ibogaine as well, is just don't try and make it stop before it's ready to stop. It's completely manageable as long as you don't fight it. So just roll with it. So that video will say that as well. And then after that, you'll have some lunch. We become known for our food. People feel as though we would get a Michelin star if Michelin came by. Food's incredible. After that, after lunch, you'll go into a medical intake and another EKG. After that, you will go to a sweat lodge. We found that a sweat lodge is a really good way to kick off the week. It's a good team building experience. It's also in alignment with another theme of the week, which is being comfortable with being uncomfortable. So it's got all that tied up into it. It's where warriors would go to prepare for battle. So it's a great way to kick it off. We have 3 different sweat lodges that we work with. And then you'll come back, you'll have some dinner, you'll get rehydrated with an IV, you'll get some sleep. The next morning, some blood work first thing in the morning, followed by breakfast, followed by breath work. We find breath is like a great ally, good to get reacquainted with prior to doing something like Ibogaine. It can be a great partner through the journey to reconnect with your breath. After that, you'll have another preparation circle. That time you'll watch a video with our guest experience manager, Brianna, and my business partner, Jonathan, on that video, doing more to prepare you for Ibogaine. Followed by lunch, and then you'll fast after lunch. You won't eat anything after lunch. And after lunch, you'll have a massage. We have a great massage therapist that comes in, and you'll have a one-on-one sit down with your host to help you further prepare, answer any final questions. At about 7 p.m., we'll give you another IV with magnesium in it to protect your heart before going into Ibogaine. At about 8 p.m., you'll circle up around a fire, and you'll have the first dose of medicine around that fire. We administer the medicine over 4 doses. So you'll get the second one about 45 minutes after the first, then about 15 after that, then 15 after that. At about 10 p.m., we will ask you to be in the treatment room. You're all in there together. Everybody gets their own mattress, though, of course. And then you're hooked up to a heart monitor. And basically, it's about putting on a blindfold and going deep into yourself for the next 6, 8, 10 hours. You're very well supported. We have a physician, at least one on site when we're administering Ibogaine. We've got a medical staff of at least 4 to 7 paramedics, depending on the site that you're at. So very well supported throughout the night. If you need anything, you'll raise your hand. And then the Ibogaine journey itself, It is a psychoactive plant medicine. So sometimes people see things. Not everybody does. And you don't need to see things for Ibogaine to work for you. Sometimes you hear things. It's been called oniric, which means as related to dreams. So it's almost like a lucid dream type experience sometimes. Sometimes you get lessons. Sometimes you revisit past traumatic events. Sometimes you feel, I call them the Iboga minions, working on your brain, working on your nervous system, fixing it. They show up in different ways. Like people will describe them as Pac-Man cleaning out their brain, or minions like from the movie, or we're all old enough to remember Fraggle, those dozers that were always building shit in Fraggle Rock, things like that. So yeah, so weird stuff happens on Ibogaine, that's for sure. But at about the 12-hour mark, you're welcome to leave the treatment room if you want. You still won't have much energy for the next 12 hours. The next 12 hours is notoriously referred to as the gray day. Everybody feels pretty rough the day after Ibogaine. You're just depleted. You're as tired as you've ever been, but you can't sleep because the medicine still got you amped up. Um, you know, we encourage you to drink as you can that day, eat as you can that day. It's going to help push the medicine through your system, but just don't expect much of yourself. And we're not expecting anything out of you as well. And then eventually that next night, you'll get some sleep. It's once you get some sleep that you start feeling the benefits of Ibogaine. And that next morning, some breakfast into some mindful movement, get back into your body, followed by an Ibogaine debrief circle. Then, for those who would like to, we work with another compound called 5-MeO-DMT, which is referred to as the toad or the bufo medicine. It's a shorter experience, still super powerful. Oftentimes a spiritual type experience for people for that one. And it really helps people recover a bit quicker after Ibogaine. And then after that, you're in Mexico, so you eat some tacos. We have taco night that last night. And then the next morning, we'll have another debrief circle and have some breakfast and then get you back to San Diego after that. So that is Corey's full week starting in 2 weeks.
Oh, wait. So you said
Now,
meaningful. Hang on, Corey. You said something about meaningful movement. Is Corey going to have to do yoga?
I call it mindful movement.
Mindful movement. Mindful
But
movement.
yeah, some stretching.
You gotta take a video. If you get Corey in the down dog or whatever.
It's
poses.
very gentle. It's made for guys just like Corey coming out of the most powerful psychedelic experience one can conceive of. So
Right.
Now, Trevor, you're going to be there, right? Because we're going to talk about this in a minute, but I told my wife I was personally going to hand you my phone to while I'm under, you could text her and say I'm doing okay.
we will take your phone right before we give you Ibogaine, then keep it for about 48 hours. And you can give her my phone number. She can message me at any point, or you can your on-site host is going to be more present. I will definitely pop by and see you. Your on-site host is going to be more present, so it's probably best to share the host's number with your wife because they can give a better update.
Okay, yeah, because now we're going to talk a little bit about how I got into this. Is I got the green light by Dr. Torres, and then I had an issue here at home, went to the ER, and found out I have an aortic aneurysm. So with this aortic aneurysm, I have gone and seen a cardiologist. I have gone and done scans. I did an echocardiogram last week. Before that, I did a CTA scan, and I sent all of them results to Dr. Torres, and Dr. Torres said, you're still good to go.
Yeah.
Now, because
and there's a chance because of all that you still see our cardiologist as well. So you might just get run through another stress test while you're down here.
And so my wife of course says, you've lived I've lived through your brain. If you go down there and die, I'm really going to be pissed. And I saw something on Instagram earlier from you guys on Ambio Life Sciences Instagram, says fatalities have decreased. I did not send that to her, by the way. But, so she's a little nervous right now. Me, not so much, because I've talked to Torres, I've talked to you, I've talked to Beth, I've talked to Nicole, and I feel comfortable enough. And we talk a lot. And I met with Beth and had my first meeting with Beth last week or Monday. I don't
Beth
remember.
is your coach. So we
Right,
assign a coach
Beth.
to everyone that comes through as well. Yeah.
Right. Beth is my coach. And the one thing that she has me working on this week and next week, and then I meet her again, I think Wednesday of next week, is my intentions, not expectations. Don't expect a cure, but the intentions. Leave it open-ended. And so, and that's because I don't want to go in there expecting anything. I told her I got the intention that, I've talked to several people that's done this Iboga, and I have done a lot of research. I've talked to you a couple times about it. I've watched Waves in War again yesterday. I am not going in this lighthearted. I am not going in this thinking that, anything, but I do believe that I'm going to be one of them that struggle and going to have the hard time because of my childhood. I'm not going to hear the sweet music. I'm not going to hear the hummingbirds. I'm going to have to deal with some past trauma through my upbringing. But we just had Alex Hemsky download last week, and he was talking about the minions going through his big toes and right up to his brain and then to all of his surgery. And I'm going, well, I've had 10 surgeries. I can't wait to meet these minions.
Yeah.
And so I jumped off of all of my supplements. Saturday night was the last time I did all of my supplements, all my fish oils. I got off trazodone. I got off Nudexta. I'm struggling a little bit right now because of it.
Do you know, like the trazodone I get, the prescriptions, were you told to come off the supplements as well?
No, I decided to come off of them because Beth said, everything you take, you need to bring the bottle. And if you look at mine, I'm on 33 different things.
Yeah. Well,
And I didn't want to bring in 30.
Fish oil is pretty good for you.
Right, but I didn't want to bring 33 different items with me down there. So I said, you know what? Let's hop off of the pregnenolone. Let's hop off of the supplements for 2 weeks. The only thing I was supposed to get off of, I believe, is the trazodone and the Nudexta 7 to 10 days prior. And I jumped off of that because I do my pills a week in advance. I jumped off of that Friday night. And so,
Good.
yeah, my sleep is struggling a little bit right now because I don't have the trazodone to help. I'm going to take melatonin tonight.
Yeah, that's
to help.
Good. Okay, can we do a little coaching here?
Sure, let's coach.
Okay, so expectations versus intentions.
Right.
So your intention can be something broad, like I would like to heal. My intent is I would like to be happier. My intent is I would like more clarity. My intent is I would like more focus. And she's correct. You should not have expectations. But I heard about 7 of them. As he said, I am going to get my ass kicked. I am going to, so get rid of those expectations, man. Just the most, like we tell people all the time, get rid of expectations. Ibogaine is not going to be what you think it is. It's not going to do what you think it's going to do. And you want to know the most common thing to hear after Ibogaine. Wow, it really wasn't what I expected it to be. So that's like, and then we're just like, what can you do? We told you about 17 ways to Sunday, not to expect anything, because it is not at all going to be what it's like. And your trauma is never, almost to the person, almost as a rule, it's not shoved into your face as something you're going to be re-traumatized with. It's you're given it with some new perspective that allows you to heal that trauma so it doesn't have the sting anymore. Like, it's super compassionate in its way. And sometimes, a stern grandfather is super compassionate in his way as well. But it's definitely not something to fear. Like I say, just don't try and get off the roller coaster, and it's totally manageable in the same way that you wouldn't.
This episode of the Head Rush Podcast is brought to you by the Patrick Risha CTE Awareness Foundation. Their goal is to spread awareness about the dangers of RHI, repetitive head impacts, after losing their son, Patrick, to CTE. Sadly, there are too many like Patrick that have lost their families, jobs, and sometimes their lives. And this foundation is working hard to stop the devastation that can come from not protecting the brain. This foundation provides parents of school-age children with information about the dangers of sports, concussive sports, and activities which involve head trauma.
They advertise on social media, print media, and billboards. Please follow them on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, and share their ads with others. And please visit their website, stopcte.org, to find ways to help people recognize the disease if confronted with it in their family, and how to prevent the suffering that can come to families when a brain is damaged. The website has medical forms to take to doctor's visits and advocacy letters if you want to help make change in your community. And their most recent campaign is geared up to help coaches build brain-healthy teams. You can use the information on stopcte.org website to understand CTE, live with CTE, and prevent CTE. Please visit. Thank you. And don't knock it. Stopcte.org.
You wouldn't prepare to go into a surgery and then try and tell that surgeon how to do his job. And it's the same thing with Ibogaine. It's like, you just need to trust that you're going in with an educated, maybe even supra-educated medicine that seems to have some kind of an intelligence to it. And you just need to trust that it's going to do exactly what you need it to do. And you're just going to go along for the ride. But don't expect to get your ass kicked. or
Well, and I don't mean getting my ass, and I don't mean it by getting my ass kicked. I mean it that I'm going to have to deal with some issues that even my therapist, Crystal, has said, when she goes, well, let's talk about your childhood, and I don't talk about it. It's like, why? I'm an adult. That was back then. I moved on since then. So that's why I said I believe this is going to force me to have to go back and deal with some of the issues of my childhood, which is good. And so that's why I said I'm going to get my ass kicked that way, because I've been blocking it out so long, but now I ain't got much of a choice.
I've heard of Iboga just going, hey, I'm going to put all of this in this box right here. Do you want to look at it, or do you just want me to take care of it? So, sometimes it just presses that reset button without you being dragged back into it at all. So let go of the expectation.
It's pretty crazy. It's because I've always, I'm not worthy. I'm not worthy. I'm, the shame and guilt and whatever.
Yeah.
But it's almost like what you're describing is a gentle grandfather, coming to express, healing.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And sometimes a I'm not saying a gentle grandfather. I'm saying a
Uh,
compassionate grandfather. A
I'm just saying
Compassionate.
my
compassionate
grandfather's
grandfather
whipped my
might
butt.
bend
So
you over his knee to teach you a lesson because you need
Compassionate.
to learn that lesson. That's what's best for you.
Right.
But ultimately it wants the best for you. And that's the crazy thing is it seems to want more for us than we want for ourselves. So it's
Right.
okay to let it do its thing.
Mhm. That's
well, and
pretty
I
cool.
got stuff down like I want to let go of my fears.
Great
You
intention.
know, I want to let go of my ego.
Yeah, great.
I want to let go of my worthlessness, that I feel
Yeah,
worthless since the accident and on disability, that I'm no longer able to do the things I want to do, and that I want to be a bigger influence for the head rush and more for that. Them are the intentions I'm going with. Being more open,
yeah,
you know,
beautiful.
and understanding. And that's where I'm coming in with it, because it seems like that's where I need to go with it. And the way I look at it is I've talked to or Andrew Moore. I've
Bruce.
watched
Admar.
Capone. I've watched DJ Shipley. I've watched some of the biggest badasses in the world. I've talked to people like Bruce and other athletes like Alish and other athletes that we've talked to that's gone through this. And I tell you what, a lot of these are badasses that have more than I will ever have. I feel I am a very moral, very standard man, but I tell you what, them guys have more strength, like my brother being a ranger, than anything. And if they can go through it, hey, I can open up and go through it too. Because I tell you what, DJ Shipley, Marcus Luttrell, Morgan Luttrell, them guys, dude, I don't want to meet them in a dark alley. I want to
Corey.
meet them on
Yeah,
the podcast. I want to say hi to them. I want to be their friends, but I also
yeah,
want them behind me in a fight, not in front of
yeah,
me.
yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Corey.
you those are all great intentions and you're obviously not pointed in this direction, but maybe somebody gets wisdom from this down the road. So you said overcoming your fear, moving beyond your fear, a horrible intention, or yeah, let's just say the flip side of that would be why am I so fearful? Why is the worst? I had a great example of a dude. He was a Navy SEAL veteran, and I I was hands on with the treatments at this when this guy came in, and as the medicine's coming on, he said, "I said, how you doing?" He said, "I'm super anxious, man. I'm super anxious." Like, okay, well, that can happen. You just breathe through it. I'll check back in it on you in a few minutes. And I checked in 10 minutes. He's like, man, I'm really, really anxious. I said, okay, well, it's possible to give you an anti-anxiety medicine. Let me check with the doctor. I'll see what she says. I came back. I said, yeah, she's cool with you taking an anti-anxiety if you want. Do you want that? And he goes, well, you know, my biggest intent was to understand my wife's anxiety better.
That's wild.
Yeah. And I
That,
laughed out loud and I'm like, well, do you maybe want to tell the medicine you got the lesson and talking about it with him the next day? A better intent would be how can I better support my wife through her issues with anxiety? But he has to understand anxiety better, or why am I so fearful? Or how come I'm always scared? That might just bring you into the most fearful and anxious period imaginable so you can try and understand fear better. It's better. How can I move beyond? How can I get more clarity? How can I live a more peaceful life? Those are better intents.
Right. How can I be more for my wife?
Yeah,
More of a husband
perfect.
for my wife. I mean, that's what it all boils down to for me. And I'm really looking forward to it. I think I've been doing the homework. A matter of fact, I even told Beth, I even chat GPT'd preparing for Ibogaine, and it gave me 14 questions to ask, one a day, for 2 weeks prior. And
Beautiful.
what do I want most out of this and stuff like that. So I'm doing this homework, and I tell you what, it's hard because I'm a very proud man and that's another intention I would like to. That's ego. I want to get the most out of this I can because I feel that, damn it, if I'm going to do it, I might as well be open and honest and go and do it and get the most out of it. Because when we come out of it and I get back home, I either want to say, hey, this stuff works. And, you know, I'm doing a lot better. My wife can preach about it. Paul could say, hey, he's not as much of a dick as he was.
I don't know what I'm going to do without ego. The ego of Corey Berry, the cowboy
You
up.
get to keep all the good stuff. He keeps all the good stuff.
But, you know, I want to be one of them that comes back and gets something positive out of it and not just negative. I mean, from what Alice has talked about, and if you haven't watched the episode, go back last week and watch it. It was a very, very awesome episode. The one thing I do promise you, though, I am not tattooing my journey on my thighs. But I'll tell you, you know, and me and Alice have talked a few times since the episode.
Good.
And I'm really, he's in Spain right now, so I gotta kind of be leery that he's 7 hours ahead. But I'm really looking forward to this, and I'm thinking that I've eased my wife's mind a little bit. I am not staying in a hotel. My sister-in-law is picking me up at the airport and taking me to a timeshare and bringing me to the meeting location the next morning.
Nice.
Because
Perfect.
they want to make sure that I'm not getting overburdened, I'm not doing anything. And a matter of fact, my doctor even gave me some, what are them pills, Paul?
I'm not sure what he. I mean, not Valium.
Not Valium, but kind of like Valium. They're
just make sure they're not contraindicated with Ibogaine, whatever they are.
No, I've already talked to Beth about it. And what it is, and it's kind of funny because I've been taking these GABA chewables.
Oh, the GABA.
Oh, nice. GABA's great. Yeah.
And what this pill does is releases GABA.
Great.
It's what I took when I went to Florida, Paul.
Does the GABA make you sleepy?
No.
Just chills you out. It's like the body's natural Valium.
Right. Okay.
And a matter of fact, I took them chewables, and I think I overdone myself Saturday because we went to the car wash. I made it all the way through Walmart grocery shopping with the wife. Had some tough moments, but made it all the way through. That's the first time since probably 2022 that I've been able to be in Walmart for an hour.
Wow.
You should have seen this. But one of the first trips I went out to Texas, to Dallas to film the Head Rush to the podcast. They let me take Corey out, and we were going through Walmart, and I walked I sprint through stores, and all of a sudden I turn around and he's like 25 feet behind me, and now I got blamed for leaving Corey in a Walmart. But so that's a feat, Corey, if you almost went through the whole store. So,
no, I made it all the way through checkout
Right.
with the wife. And
Right.
so that's a big feat. And I think this red light therapy, I think the Millennium Health Protocol, the Brainwell program, I think everything I've done, the neurofeedback, working with Crystal, working with everything, has got me to the point. And by talking to Andrew Marr,
Adam
if you
Marr,
remember,
do you mean Adam Marr, or is it his brother?
Andrew is the brother that was
Oh, cool.
he was the blast explosive specialist, and Andrew was the pilot, right?
Right.
Cool.
No,
And
Adam was the pilot. Andrew was the
Green
black.
Beret.
All right.
And talking to him, and when I first started talking about Ibogaine and getting invested in it, he said, you got to go through Millennium Protocol first. You got to do the homework first. And then if you go do the Ibogaine after you do the homework and prepare yourself, you're better off to get the results that you need instead of just, hey, I got issues, let's go do Ibogaine. He said, do the homework first, get through some of the stuff, get your hormones set up, get it balanced. And I'm still high cortisol, but I'm pretty much balanced across the board except for my cortisol.
Yeah, Corey,
Awesome.
you've been doing the program, all these programs that you mentioned, Millennium and Brainwell program and so on and so forth. You've been doing them religiously, and if anybody's ready to take a sustainable journey and benefit from it, I fully believe you're on the track. So, Trevor, we always like to finish with something positive, but and giving hope to our listeners. But what is there anything we've left out that you would like to share before we put you on the spot to give us a word of hope?
I think that's been a pretty positive conversation already. I think it's exciting what's happening in the US. I think it'll still take a little while, but it's incredible. It's been a meme in my world ever since 2016, where people, whether they love him or hate him, are saying, "Wow, you should really get some Ibogaine and Donald Trump," and then to have
Hey,
Donald.
well, that's a big ego to take away.
Well,
Wow, that
Well, to
would be interesting.
have the president in his office say, maybe I should have some. That was pretty close. We're getting pretty close there. So I'm not going to hold my breath, but I still think, Ibogaine is something that people come to and feel hope for the first time in a long time. And I get to say, actually, your hope is really well founded. I've seen some incredible things.
Apathy. I hear, watching one of the movies that I watched and so on and so forth, apathy, that dead feeling, that dead zone feeling that
Yeah.
you don't have the emotions, you don't have what you used to have. But I'm hearing that can go away. Some people
Yeah.
experience that.
Yeah. 100%. It
Well,
seems
you
to
look
be.
at it, millions live with depression, anxiety, fatigue, or emotional chaos, believing it's permanent. It's not. The Millennium Protocol targets hidden inflammation and hormone disruption caused by trauma, stress, and time. Created by Dr. Mark Gordon, featured multiple times on Joe Rogan and the Head Rush podcast, plus the documentary movie Quiet Explosions, this approach has transformed lives once written off as hopeless. Visit tbihelpnow.org and take the 10-question brain health assessment. Healing is possible. Your story isn't over. Let's begin again with your brain. Paul, if you haven't watched In Waves and War in a while, I'd go back and watch it because, you're talking to people that they didn't have empathy or apathy.
Right.
They
Right.
were struggling, and Capone, he had his son on there talking about how he got his father back, and the last episodes are him and his dad going surfing together, which
Right.
you ought to do with Bella. So,
Yeah.
but you look at it, and that's what I'm hoping for, is because I've actually been tested. I went through an aptitude test in 2009 on 0 to 100 on empathy. I scored a 3.
They say Did they say sociopath? No, you're way away from that. I know that. So
But so, yeah, I mean, these are all the intentions that I'm hoping to go for. And I mean, I don't want to go there with a bucket list and my sheet be 50 feet long and my burn sheet be 40 feet long. I want to keep it simple and then let the drug do its job. But I'm going with a lot of intention to help me in a lot of ways. And I'm really praying that this helps. And I'm really hoping it also shows me the spiritual, gets me closer to my spiritual of who I need to be with God and
Yeah,
get me
good.
more in line with God. And instead of getting the control that Corey loves to take and run with and charge with and bulldoze over with and tell you to F off, it's going to be done my way. I'm hoping that this may teach. And by watching In Ways of War again and watching what DJ Shipley went through, and it's sad that it did what it did, but it's man, it made him such a better person. And these are the people that I would love to get on the Head Rush podcast. People like Governor Perry talking about this after I get back with the journey. People like Marcus Luttrell, Morgan Luttrell, DJ Shipley. Get Brian Hubbard on from Americans for Ibogaine. Because if this does what I think it's going to do for me, I want to scream it from the rooftops. Just like you're going to go do the aiming clinic and you're going to do the spec scan, correct?
mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, and I want to go down that avenue also. But I think I'm at the point with everything I've been doing for the past 2 years to get better that this is the final, not the final, but this is the largest step that I'm going to have to take in order to feel something.
I feel a crescendo coming on, Corey.
What's that mean? You're
Well,
talking that
Coming up. It's coming up.
It's like the drums sewing.
It's the final countdown.
That's great. All right. So really
On
quick.
that note.
Really quick. If the U.S. is only going to be available to do clinical trials, and they'll take a couple of years unless they treat it like a vaccine. But they're going to take a while. So should we get Corey to get his passport, and would Ambio open a place in Belize? Anyway, that's just
Sounds nice. Sounds nice to me.
just thinking out loud. It's all the divers would come and get their fix with the.
No, the only reason why you want Belize is because your girlfriend has a house in Belize and you miss her because she's in California and getting ready to go to Belize. That's the only reason why you want to do it. But you know what, Paul? You don't qualify, so your ass out anyways, dude.
You can't qualify.
I got to get an ablation and stay away from, the cowboy way for a month.
Yeah.
So, all right, Trevor, awesome. Thank you.
Thanks, Paul. Thanks, Corey.
A huge thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Trevor, and thank you for everything. And by the way, we have worked it out and we have not done the paperwork yet, people. And we haven't figured it out and we haven't talked to the board yet. But what we are doing with Ambio Life Sciences is that for sponsorship, we're going to be, and Paul, is it okay to bring this up or do you want to wait on it?
If Trevor is okay with it, and you guys have talked about it, yeah, absolutely. You can share.
Trevor, are you okay with me sharing about this?
Yeah.
Is that what we're going to do from here on out is we're going to have the ability, should I say, to maybe send 2 people a year to Ambio Life Sciences through the Head Rush podcast, the Head Rush Foundation, to get help at free of cost other than airfare and everything to get there, but the treatment will be free of cost. Correct? Is that how I should say that, Trevor?
Sounds good to me, man. It's on record now.
There's always editing, Trevor. So you
That's
better.
why I'm asking, is because we can edit this. So I wanted to make sure I used
No,
the
I think
right
it's
wording.
fine. That's I don't know. We might as well be completely transparent. We're going to keep sponsoring the show, and that's that's the swap we're going to do. Is we'll provide
That's
a couple
awesome.
treatments to keep sponsoring the show.
And
Great.
we sure do appreciate it. And we thank you. And this one will be downloaded next week. So this one will be downloaded the week before I go.
Great.
And so, and then when we come back, we'll have to do the episode on how I feel now.
Follow up. Cool.
The
Sounds
follow
good.
up to the Corey saga.
The integration episode.
The intentions on purpose
Yeah.
episode.
So thank you all so much. I appreciate it so much, Trevor. I can't wait to see you down in Mexico. And to tell you the truth, I am scared to death of doing psychedelics, but I'm going to go do it. I've talked to a lot of people about it. So I feel confident enough about going down and doing it. But yes, it is. I don't like being drunk. I don't like being stoned, and I don't. So this is a whole new thing for this cow.
Medicine, man. It's medicine. You're good.
That's right. Hey, Paul, before I go, I do want to bring up one thing.
Okay.
Did you see on Concussion and CTE social media today?
42 times more likely to die from ALS before 50 years old if you play in the NFL, or what?
That was this week. No, there was another bull rider came out with CTE.
Oh, no.
20-year-old.
A 20-year-old.
20-year-old up in Canada.
Yeah.
And he committed suicide in 2020, and he was diagnosed with CTE.
Yeah.
So, ladies and gentlemen, there's another one that's coming out public about it. His mom came out and talked about it, and that's why I'm bringing it up. His name was Logan Parent from BC, and yeah, he ended up committing suicide.
Well, and this is why we have podcasts like this, because we want to give hope. We want to find answers. We want to find out if this plant-based medicine is going to, people have benefited from this, from Ibogaine, period. So why is there a way to combat that inflammation, that brain chemistry that's going crazy from the inflammation from repeated head impacts? You know what? It's one step in your journey. I'm excited for you, Corey. And Trevor, thank you. Thank you, Ambio Life Sciences.
And with the neuroplasticity being as big as it is with this Ibogaine, Beth told me it's like day 2 or something like that. Is your neuroplasticity's on like hyper alert and just going to work. It's, that's why I brought up Logan Parent is, if this works for me, we know I have suicide ideation. We know I have struggles. We know I've had all of this. If this works for me, I'm willing to shout it from the rooftop saying, hey, we need to get this going. So great. Thank you so much, Trevor. Thank you, Paul. This is another great episode.
With all that neuroplasticity, you can finally learn how to knit.
Yes. No.
Rosie Greer. Rosie Greer. Hey, yeah, the neuroplasticity, that was the one thing that was crazy about Governor Rick Perry. He had shrinkage in the frontal lobes, and 6 months after his journey, his brain had unshrunk. What? Really? So anyway.
So Trevor, as homework for you, as our sponsor, we would love to get Governor Rick Perry, Andrew Moore, or Marcus Luttrell, and Morgan Luttrell on our podcast to talk about this.
I'm sure I can get at least one of them for you.
I'd
think I've
appreciate
done all
it.
of that.
Thank you, Trevor.
Alrighty. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Take care.
Have a good one. Bye.
Great. Stay
Paul?
alert, and stay alive.
Please like, share, follow, comment, subscribe, and let us know how we're doing. If we're doing shitty, don't tell us. If we're doing great, let us know.
This podcast is for general information only and does not constitute the practice of medicine. The use of this information and the materials linked to this podcast is at the user's own risk. The content of this podcast is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Users should not disregard and delay in obtaining medical advice from any medical condition they have, and they should seek the assistance of their healthcare professionals for any such conditions.